imagine I had cancer, I probably wouldn't be sitting here because, and here comes the interesting point, right? Because an assumption that's very fundamental to my own sort of, well, ego in this case, right? The fundamental interpretation of the ego, of the elements that are sort of within that would be disrupted, right? In this case, the interpretation that I can autonomously decide where to sit and what to say or to say in general, right? This would be disrupted, but more general in the case of cancer, that my body is, you know, a healthy body, a type of body that will be the way it is today, in tomorrow and the next week, and you know, I have a couple years ahead. If I look at my average lifespan, I'll probably, considering the year I was born, and I used this calculator, which was quite interesting, and it predicted I would live with the health, you know, the lifestyle sort of habits that I have. I'd live to like and considering my family history, it was quite an extensive, it was a study from one of the universities in Germany, and that I took part in. It was an online sort of forum, and it predicted I'd be living, it predicted my chance to live to 100 were quite high. I'm not sure, I think somewhere beyond the 60%, and then my most likely lifespan will be something like 95. And that was quite interesting. Like, and yeah, considering I do have my grandparents, they all lived quite long. My mother died early, but my grandparents lived quite long, and we don't have any heritable or disease running in our family, and so there's a high likelihood, right? Okay, but going back, you know, if I have this expectation to live another 70 years, 60 years, 70 years, whatever, 70 years that is, then I'd be quite surprised if tomorrow my doctor told me, oh, well, actually you have an incurable disease, you'll die in the next 5 years. That'll surprise me, right? And it'll shake up sort of the fundamental assumptions. You know, this one element where within this sort of the ego structure, you know, let's say my body, right? I don't know how exactly this plays out, obviously I have no clue, but let's say we all have an assumption about the integrity of our physical being in the world, and so that the assumption for me was, oh, it's stable over the next year, not only years, and now I learn it's only going to be stable for another year, and probably not even stable, but it'll be in severe pain over the next year, and then over the next decades, I'll be vanished. I won't be here, right? In this way, and so that would be a shattering of a fundamental assumption.